All right, boys and girls. Ooh, fully talking to the mic. All right, boys and girls. Today we're going to continue with that box method, but we are actually going to bump up our numbers, and we're going to solve 2-digit by 2-digit. It's the same thing when we're doing the box. We're just now remember how we put our numbers into expanded form? Well, you'll notice that now that we have 2 digits on both numbers, our expanded form is going to be bigger than when we have 1 digit. Right? Like 8 in expanded form is simply what? 8. But 13 in expanded form would be 10 plus 3. So now we're moving into bigger numbers. So as always, I'm going to set my box up. I'm going to put my multiplication sign. What I usually do is I like to take my biggest number and put it on my top box. So I'm going to put 24 into expanded form. So far, we haven't done anything differently. And instead of just having 1 digit on the left, like when we do 2 by 1 and 3 by 1, I now have to put 13 into expanded form. Okay? So I'm going to have to do 10 plus what? 3. Very good. And once you get to this point, this is where it's going to get a little tricky. I want you to number the boxes with me. I'm going to call this box here box number 1, box number 2, box number 3, and box number 4. And the reason why I did that is because I want to have order to my boxes. So I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'll see why in just a minute. So then obviously I'm going to have to multiply in my first box first, right? So that's going to be 3 times 4, which gives me what? 12. So I'm going to put 12 in that first box. So that's why I'm calling that my first box. Because I need to first multiply this 3 by my 4 and my 20. So I've already multiplied it by the 4. Now what am I going to multiply the 3 by? Who thinks they can raise their hand and tell me, what am I going to multiply that 3 by now?
20.
Very good. 20. Well, I know that 3 times 2 is what? 6. And I just have to add a 0. Okay. Now watch what I've done. I have already multiplied this 3 by both of those digits, haven't I? So I am done with that 3. I already multiplied it by the 1's place. I already multiplied it by the 10's place. I like to cross it off because I don't need to worry about multiplying that 3 anymore. So now I'm going to move up to the 10. What do you think I'm going to multiply that 10 by first if I always go in the 1's place?
4.
Very good. And what is 10 times 4?
40.
Very good. 40. So I'm going to put my 40 in this box. And then there's just one box left to multiply. Who thinks they can raise their hand and tell me what box it would be and what would my product be?
The 4th box, and the product would be 20. I mean, 200.
Very good. 200, because 20 times 10 gives me 200. So what you'll notice we did is we took the 3, we multiplied it by the 1's and the 10's place, and then we took the 10 and we multiplied it by the 1's and the 10's place. The reason why I would not multiply 3 times 10 here is because that was one number, right? 10 plus 3 gives me 13. That's what I was multiplying by. So that's why I broke those up. So over here in my boxes, I'm going to line up my numbers and I'm going to add them all together. So I got 200, 60, 40, and 12. And I'm going to add all those numbers together. Why am I putting a 0 in some of those spaces? What do I call that 0?
Your placeholders.
It's a placeholder. Very good. It helps me line up those digits. So now I can simply add 0 and 0 and 0 and 2 gives me 2. Very good. 0 plus 6 plus 4 plus 1, 11. I got to regroup that 1 up there. 1 plus 2 gives me, so what's my product? 312. Very good. So you'll notice that there's a couple more steps involved when you're doing 2 by 2 because you're adding a whole nother digit. Okay? Some of you might be like, oh, that's a lot, Miss Pitts. That's fine because we're going to continue to practice it. We're going to do a couple more. All right, let's look at number 2. So now that I know I need to number my boxes, that's the first thing I'm always going to do. I'm going to number those boxes because that's going to help me realize what do I multiply and in what order. What number do you think I'm going to put in expanded form up at the top?
41. 45.
45, very good. 45, because that's our largest number. So I'm going to take 45 and put it in expanded form. And then I'm going to take 31 and I'm going to put it in expanded form. All right, so you're going to help me solve. So who's going to help me with box 1? What would I put in box 1?
5.
5, very good. I'm going to take that 1 and I'm going to multiply it by 5, which gives me 5. Now, what else am I going to multiply that 1 by? What am I going to put in box 2? Because remember, I'm working with this 1 first because it's in the ones place.
40.
40, very good, because 1 times 40 is 40. Am I done with this one? Have I multiplied it by the 1s and the 10s? So I don't need to worry about that 1 anymore. Who can help me solve the next box? Box number 3. Now I'm multiplying by that 30 because I've already multiplied by the 1.
30 times 5, and that would equal 150.
Very good, 150. She knows that 3 times 5 is 15, but I've got to add that 0 because I'm multiplying by 30. Now, I'm going to help you with the very last box because this is where some friends get tricked. I know that 3 times 4 is what? 12. Okay? But there's a 0 in this number and a 0 in this number. So how many zeros do I need to put behind that 12? Everybody. 2. So now I have all my numbers, and all I have to do now is what? Add them up. So I'm going to use all these nice boxes. They're so nice and neat for me. Like my friend said earlier, we're going to use that 0 as a placeholder. We're going to add them all up. 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 5 gives me 5. 5 plus 4 gives me 9. 2 plus 1 gives me 3. And 1 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 gives me. So my product is 1,395. Great job, guys.